For the following steps, please prepare LCD cover, LCD knob, LCD support, LCD screen, M3 extend screws, M3NS nuts, SD card. Before you start, please ensure the cables are plugged in the correct order. To the slot called EXP1 must be connected cable with one black stripe. To the slot called EPX2, EXP2 must be connected cable with two black stripes. Prepare the LCD's controller and LCD support printed part as shown in the picture. Slide the LCD support part on the LCD controller. Repeat the steps above for the second support. Press the LCD controller with the LCD support into the LCD cover as shown in the picture. Be careful, there is a control knob on the other side. Adjust the position of the supports if needed. Press it as deep as possible. The LCD controller must click under support in the center of the LCD cover. Using the 2.5mm Allen key and two M3 extend screws, secure the LCD controller in place. Place 4 M3NS nuts in the prepared slots all the way in. Locate the holes for M3 screws on the front plate. Press to 4 M3 extend screws. Place the LCD assembly onto the front side of the Y-axis. Tighten all 4 screws. Assemble the LCD knob part as shown in the picture. For the following steps, please prepare heat bed, power cable, M3 extend screws, washers, M3NN nylock nuts. It is very important to connect the power cable correctly. Before you start the assembly, have a look at the pins. The one on the left with the GND sign must be connected to the black wire. Place the black wire above the pin with DnB sign. Make sure you are using the rounded connectors. Place the washer above the rounded cable connector. Press the M3 extend screw to all parts. Hold the screw and carefully turn the heat bed upside down. Place the M3NN nut on the top of the M3 screw and tighten it slightly. Turn the heat bed back using pliers and Allen key tighten the screw. We need to adjust the cable position in the next step, therefore do not tighten the screw too firmly. Repeat this procedure for the second wire. Black wire must be connected to DnB. Red wire must be connected to VCC. The cable cover, which will be applied later, requires the connectors to be slightly inclined towards each other. Press them gently, but leave a gap between them. Now tighten both screws using an Allen key and the pliers. Before you continue with the assembly, find the cable covers in your package. For the following steps, please prepare: heat bed, textile sleeve, M3N nuts, M3NN nylock nut, M3 extend screws, heatbed cable cover. Take the smaller part and insert M3N nuts. Place the bigger heatbed cable cover next to the heatbed. See the hole, which has to match the one on the heatbed. Now place the cover on the heatbed and align it. Use the M3 extend screws and push it through the cover. Hold the screw with your thumb and flip the heatbed upside down. Use 3NN nylock nut and tighten the screw. Guide the black thermistor cable next to the heatbed heater cable and wrap it few times around. Use the textile sleeve and wrap the cables from the heatbed. Start by wrapping a few centimeters of the sleeve behind the heatbed cover. When the first wrap is ready, slide it inside the heatbed cover. Ensure it is at least 5 to 6 millimeters. Before you continue with the wrapping the sleeve, we need to fix it in the cable cover. Take the smaller cover you have prepared earlier and place it like in the picture. Make sure the thermistor cable is in the middle going through the cutout in the printed part, otherwise you will pinch and possibly break the cable. Hold the cover and flip the heat bed back. Insert 2 screws M3X10 and tighten them. Proceed with caution and tighten both screws equally. Your tightened cover should look like the last picture. For the following steps, please prepare M3X40B screws and spacers. Push the Y carriage to the front and place the heat bed behind. Locate the hole in the center of Y carriage. Place one spacer on the top of the hole. Push the Allen key through the middle hole on the heat bed and place it above the spacer. Use the Allen key to align all parts. After the alignment, insert the M3X12B screw instead. Tighten the screw just slightly. Move to the right side of the heat bed. Place another spacer with the pliers. Push the pliers between the heat bed and the Y carriage. Use the Allen key to align the spacer. After the alignment, insert the screw instead and tighten it slightly. Using the pliers, insert spacers and screws into the remaining holes. Don't fully tighten the screws. After all screws are in place, tighten them in the following order. Center screw, first 4 screws, last 4 screws. You can refer to the picture. For the following steps, please prepare 24 volt power supply, power panic cable, power cables, M4X10 screws with the dome head, M3X10 screws. Turn the back of the printer towards you and locate the PSU holders. Insert M3X10 screws into them. Make only 3 to 4 turns, it should be enough to hold the PSU for now. Take the PSU and place it above the screws. Adjust the span for the PSU holders. Slide the PSU on the screws and tighten them, but not too firmly. We need to adjust the position in the next steps. Make sure you can slide the PSU up and down. Insert M4 screws into the both holes in the frame. Adjust the position of the PSU. There are holes in the casing which must align with the holes in the frame. By default, the PSU is lower than needed. Pull it up slightly. Tighten the M4 screws, but not too firmly. Wait for the next instructions. Before tightening the M4 screws, make sure the PSU is pressed against the printer and also in direct contact with the vertical frame. Tighten M4 screws. Now tighten M3 screws connecting the PSU to the extrusions. Make sure the bent part of the cable connector is always facing up. Use the side of the blue cover. These connectors are slightly wider and won't fit in the ANSI board. Note that the polarity of the PSU is positive, positive, negative, negative. Keep this in mind while connecting the cables. Release the screw on the first slot from the left. Take the first power cable and choose the red wire, slide it all the way in. Make sure the steel washer is above the fork connector. Tighten the screw firmly, but keep in mind some parts are made from plastic. Release the screw and the third negative slot from the left. Take the same cable and choose the black wire. Slide it all the way in. Make sure the steel washer is above the fork connector. Tighten the screw firmly, but keep in mind some parts are made from plastic. Release the screw from the second slot from the left. Take the second cable and choose the red wire. Slide it all the way in. Make sure that the steel washer is above the fork connector. Tighten the screw firmly, but keep in mind parts are made from plastic. Release the screw from the fourth slot from the left. Take the same cable and choose the black wire. Slide it in all the way. Make sure the steel washer is above the fork connector. Tighten the screw firmly, but keep in mind some parts are made from plastic. Take the power panic cable and connect it to the PSU. Both ends of the cable are the same. Use any. Gently bend the power panic cable and place it close to the power cables. Be careful as you might snap the in-thigh connector from the board. Keep that in mind until the printer is fully assembled. Don't pull the cable. Cut the cable to the other side of the printer. We will fix them to the frame later on. For the following steps, please prepare ANSI door, ANSI hinge top, ANSI hinge bottom, M3NS nut, M3 extend screws. Insert M3NS nut all the way in. You can use a small screwdriver to push it down if needed. Check the proper alignment with the Allen key. Take the ANSI hinge bottom and push the M3 extend screws through. Locate the hole for the lower hinge. Place the hinge on the frame and tighten the screw. The hinge must be facing upwards. Take the ANSI door hinge top and push the M3 extend screw through. Place the ANSI door on the lower hinge. Assemble the ANSI hinge top in the door and mount it to the frame. For following steps, please prepare textile sleeve, zip tie, wrap the sleeve around the X-axis motor cable. The sleeve is shorter than the motor cable. Secure the sleeve using zip tie. You have to tighten the zip tie firmly, and it is only temporary fix until the ANSI case is assembled. but you can leave the zip tie in place afterwards. For the following steps, please prepare ANC base, M3 extend screws, M3NS nuts, M3N nut, and ANC Rambo motherboard. ANC base has a maintenance opening RPA0W. If you intend to use this mini computer, you can carefully cut the piece of the plastic now. Take the 4 M3NS nuts you have prepared earlier and insert them in the AC case the following way. 2 nuts inside the heatbed holder, 2 nuts inside extruder cable holder. Press the nuts all the way in. Check the proper alignment using an Allen key. Insert 4 M3N nuts in nut traps. Slide the ANC inside the base and tighten it with 4 M3 extend screws. Holes with blue arrows will be used to mount the ANC base. Insert M3 extend screws in the holes and tighten them slightly. 3 to 4 turns are enough for now. Before mounting the base on the frame, take the cable from X-axis motor and plug it in the ANC. Push the textile sleeve in the slot and leave some slack for the cable along the board. See the slot on the printed part, which will be used for the M3 extend screws. Slide the ANC base on the prepared M3 extend screws and align it with the edge of the G-axis frame. Using 2.5 mm Allen key, tighten both screws. Turn the printer on the PSU side and route the cables below the extrusions. Start with the Z-axis motor. Slide the zip tie through the circular hole in the frame to create a loop. Push the cable gently in the zip tie and tighten it so it can snug and holding the wires. Be careful not to over tighten the tie as it can cut the wires. Cut the remaining part. Continue upwards and using another zip tie create the next loop. Insert Z-axis cable and all the cables from the PSU. Make sure all the cables are below smooth rods and not interfering with the Y carriage. Continue upwards and using another zip tie create the next loop. Insert Y-axis motor cable to the current bundle. Take the LCD cables and gently push them in the aluminum extrusions. Leave some slack, do not stretch the cables too much. Use the full length of the extrusions. Bend the cable bundle down for now. Carefully fold the LCD cables around the frame. Continue upwards and using another zip tie create the next loop. Take the bundle of cables and place it over the LCD cables. Push the cables gently in the zip tie and tighten it. Cut the remaining part. Slide the zip tie through the circular holes in the frame to create the next loop. This time place the LCD cables carefully in the zip tie. Insert the Z-axis left motor cable and all the cables from the bundle. Push the cables gently in the zip tie. For the following steps, please prepare extruder cable clip, heatbed cable clip, M3 extend screws. Insert the heatbed cable bundle including the textile sleeve in the ANC base. Make sure the sleeve is inside the holder, see the picture. Use the heatbed cable clip and two M3 extend screws to fix the cable bundle in the place. Note the correct orientation of the clip, try closing the door. On each pair there is a red and black wire. Positive wire is fully red. Connect wires from PSU and heated bed to the ANC board in the following order. First cable from the PSU, positive and negative. The second cable from the PSU, positive and negative. Cable from the heatbed, positive and negative. Proper orientation of the power cable is important. Bent part of the connector is facing up, push it below the screw washer all the way in. Take the phased cable from the PSU and connect the pair of wires to the ANC board. Use the bundled Phillips screwdriver. Tighten the screw firmly. Take the second cable from the PSU and connect the pair of wires to the ANC board. The last pair of wires is from the heat bed, connect them to the last two slots. For the following steps, please prepare PSU cover delta, M3 extend screws. Final check. Red wire positive polarity, black wire negative polarity. Slide the cover on the cables from the top. Make sure the Prusa logo is facing up. Secure the cover using M3 extend screws. Note the holes are quite deep. Connecting all motors. Identify all motors using a yellow label and connect them to the board. X-axis motor, Y-axis motor, Z-axis motor. Make sure the lowest connector is free. The Z-axis motor have to be connected at the same level. It is a common mistake to connect the Z-axis motor under each other. Find the twisted pair cable from PSU and connect it to the board. Press the black and white cable to the left side of the cover. Arrange the cables as in the picture, so you have more space for the upcoming ones. Take the thermistor from the heatbed and connect it. Find the slot for the nylon filament, you will need it in the next step. Slightly separate the nylon from the rest of the cables. No need to unwrap the sleeve. Slide the nylon filament into the hole. Make sure the filament isn't pushing into the motor cables, which would indicate it is too long and you need to slightly unwrap the sleeve and push the filament back. Slide the sleeve in the holder at least 3/4 of the holder's height. Use the extruder cable clip and two M3 extend screws to fix the cable bundle in the place. To ensure the cable is connected properly, we are introducing a new part called plug aligner, which is now distributed with all MK3S printers leaving the factory. The plug aligner is already installed on the ANC board from the factory. In case the plug aligner falls out during the transport, gently push it back in. The notch should be oriented up like in the picture. Connect the remaining cables from the extruder. Extruder heater, hot end fan, print fan, IR sensor, extruder motor, extruder thermistor, PINDA probe cable. LCD cable with one stripe, LCD cable with two stripes. You can check these from the pictures. Check your electronics connection with an attached picture. For this step, please prepare M3X40 screw, close the ANC door, tighten the M3X40 screw. For the following steps, please prepare. Doppler spool holder center part and side arms. Place all 3 parts in front of you. Note that the both arms are identical. Make sure the C-shaped part, which will snap on the printer frame, is facing towards you. Take the arm on the right side and insert it gently in the main part and start to rotate clockwise. It should take about half turn to lock the part in the place. Take the arm on the left side, insert it gently in the main part and start to rotate anti-clockwise. It should take about half of the turn to lock the part in place. To properly mount the spool holder, let the tooth sit on the frame, and then press in the direction of the arrows. Now it's Haribo time, and you are ready for the pre-flight check. Please follow the provided guidebook to complete the pre-flight check.